Hi, everybody, and welcome to In the Huddle. Wow, look at these digs. It's right when it gets to be about 74 degrees, we say, you know what? We're going inside under the hot lights. We're going inside under the hot lights.
When it's 110, we're outside.
In the Huddle, show 19. And great to have everybody with us. Alex, thank you, our director. Trevor, great to have you here as well. And hey, look who it is. Look who it is. Stan Green.
How'd you get to work today, Stan? Did you come in on a limo?
No, I flew the helicopter. Helicopter dropped me off out front.
Don't take me off the rails here because it's exciting time, and it's exciting time for sports. Dodgers, Yankees, NFL. There's so much going on right now, but we're in the huddle for the Curtin High School District. I'm Vance Palm, Trevor Horn, Stan Green. Greg Kerr, the Dean of Local Sports, is finishing his show right now, and he'll be over here. We have a lot to get to, but first, let's talk about this. The 19th show, which means this Friday, in the Huddle, live at Arvin High School in God's Country, will be our 20th in the Huddle. 20th in the Huddle. We have a lot to get to. Before we do that, Stan, seems like a scant few months ago when this was all still kind of being developed, and we were all just kind of sitting here talking about it. And 19th show today, 20th show this coming Friday. Boy, time flies when you're having fun, huh?
I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. It was 20th show. Both teams are 2-0.
It's a big one. I look forward to that. And on Friday's show in the Huddle at Arvin, we will go over the Friday games, Friday picks. But today we have so much to get into. Any general comments before we turn it over to Trevor?
No, it's like you said, it's a great time of the year. We got playoff baseball, we've got football, pro football mid-season, college football kind of getting to the point where they're wrapping it up, and then we've got high school. It's really crazy that last Friday night was the first night it kind of felt like football and fall for us.
We were at Golden Valley, and first half, I'm just loving it, breezing through it. Third, fourth quarter, we're like, I was doing my interview with Robert Riley after the game on my phone. You can see it on Facebook. It's shaking. I was so cold.
But the night before, we were up at Highland, and we all knew that Friday was going to be a little bit cooler, but we thought Thursday was still going to be kind of temperate. But then that wind came in, and when you get up to Highland, and you get up there on the east side, right off the river, and that wind just comes up, and I'm in a shorts and t-shirt. I'm like, milk was a bad choice.
Yeah, it's a bad choice. Well, we're like 2 weeks left.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing. Well, we're going to talk volleyball. We're going to talk tennis. We're going to talk water polo. We're going to talk girls golf. We're going to talk cross country in quarters 2 and 3. There's a lot to go over, but let's get in the first quarter. Let's get back to last week's games and last week's recaps. Trevor, it's all you, brother.
Yeah, we'll start off first. Kern Valley, man, look at the Bronx, 4-4 now, 3-0 in the High Desert League. They went on the road to Cal City. Carson Parks ran for 262 yards and a score, and quarterback Zane Carver threw for a touchdown, rushed for another 102 yards and a score, and a 21-6 win for the Bronx. And that's a big win. They're 3-0. They're playoff eligible. They're rolling, and they're going to do some damage there. Moving on, this is a Thursday night game. Shafter really kind of put their stamp on the SSL in a quasi-league championship. It was a very good game. Shafter behind, came back, defeated Kennedy 34-28. Marion Sloan in his last full game as the starting Wildcat quarterback for the Generals put a stamp on it for himself when he rushed for 252 yards and all 5 touchdowns for the Generals, outscoring the T-Birds 21-7 in the second half in a 34-28 victory. And now Ezekiel Osborne will be back Friday night against Chavez. Limited snap count. We'll get more into that, but Marion Sloan, kid in 6 games rushed for over 1,000 yards. He leads the Central section in rushing touchdowns. And he's not a running back. He's not a quarterback. He's a wide receiver.
How about this? Week 1 of their season, Arvin was at Shafter, and Coach Perucci asked Stan if I could come out there and call that game on their network that they do out there. That's the game the QB got hurt. That's the game that Sloan started to become who he is this season. So, man, oh man, that's a good game though. 34-28, no blowout.
No, that was a great game. And the AD called me afterwards. He said, you should have come to our game. He says the best game he's seen in years.
I bet you everybody tells you that, huh?
Yeah, I hear that a lot. You hear that a lot.
Friday night action, Stockdale fighting for their playoff lives at Ridgeview, a team still looking for a victory on the field this year. Stockdale becomes playoff eligible with a 21-19 victory over Ridgeview. So the 2 games that they had to win to be able to get playoff eligible, the Mustangs did that with a freshman quarterback in Mackey, and now they're moving on, and Ridgeville still looking for that first win. The last 2 weeks, it's going to be really tough for the Wolfpack. But, that's a team that's playing very hard. They've had 2 close games against Independence and against Stockdale last 2 weeks, so they're doing things right. Just like Greg said on the show, Nathan Kalunch has guys on the team that aren't giving up. And a lot of programs, when you're 0-8 on the field, you're going to give up. The Wolfpack are not giving up. So you got to give it up to Nate Kalunch in his first year as head coach.
He's doing
keeping
great.
those boys. He's done a fantastic job, and that program is going to get a lot better very quickly.
That Mackey kid at quarterback's going to be something in a year or two.
I have a question about that game. It was at Ridgeview.
Yes.
I believe so, yeah.
They need to turn the sprinklers on.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
See those highlights?
It was dusty?
it's dusty, but there was also like patches of a little mud there, the 20s and 30s. Yeah, it's a little weird.
There's a lot of iguanas that live out behind there in that canal.
Is it really?
Yeah. No, I'm serious.
Is that a joke?
No, it's a true story. There's a bunch of iguanas that live around there.
I'm telling you, we're close to going off the rails. We're close.
That's
We're
almost like
19 to
that's
show.
almost like the parrots. You guys ever been to St. Anna Bowl?
Come on. Next
They got
game.
flying
Here
parrots.
we
It's
go. I
fantastic.
knew it.
Exactly.
Alex, it's not me.
And I'm
It's
sure
these-
I'm sure the iguanas.
It's these 2 guys.
I think they dig underground so it'll kill the grass from the root, and that's why you have all the dust.
Open that door so when Greg comes in, I can go out.
I do
And
not.
just
I do not believe a word that's coming out of this man's mouth right now.
all
Not
I
a
said was
word.
the field was dusty.
Not a word.
That's all I said.
I'm going to get a picture for you.
How about this? South High 7-1 now
man,
after
oh,
defeating
man, oh,
Miramonte 35-6. Josh Encinas goes 5 for 5 for 171 yards passing, including an 87-yarder.
That was a beauty.
Yeah. South, I mean, we're all looking at next week on November 1st up at Tehachapi. The weather, probably 50 degrees at kickoff next Friday. I mean, that's going to, I don't know if my back can handle that, even going up there and covering the game, but that's going to be a fun game. So, yeah.
Get some sideline heaters.
And then on another note, Nathan Gonzalez, guys, this is an incredible stat that Christian Johnson, their head coach from Miramonte, gave me. He rushed from the direct snap the first 29 plays for the Lions for 109 yards and a touchdown, finished with 152 yards rushing. He is now a 1,000-yard rusher for Miramonte. He rushed 29 times, and he finally said, Christian Johnson said he finally was like, I just got to get him out and keep him healthy for the last 2 weeks for playoffs.
I would
But
think.
it's
Try to
phenomenal.
get him out so he could drive the bus home or something.
That's true. I mean, he does
up
just
ankles.
about everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on to another Thursday night game. Independence was at Highland, and this game was all Highland. Preston Mendez threw for 206 yards and a touchdown, ran for another. Scott's defense sacked Gunter Golis 7 times, and Arnez Lee had the pick 6 there at the end of the game to kind of put the stamp on it. Big win for Highland. Independence really still kind of searching for the right offensive line because Gunter Gola is running for his life almost every time he takes a drop back. 36-13 win for Highland, and they got a big one this week at Frontier on Thursday night.
Highland was playing with a major chip on their shoulder
Yeah,
the
they
other
were.
night. They're
Yep.
not. They were.
Yeah, they looked really, really good last
Highland
week.
looked
angry.
good.
Yep.
Right out of the gate, too.
Yep. How about that? Oh, and because
Ran the option.
great. They ran the option, and then they punted down to the 1, and the very first play on offense for Independence was a sweep left pitch, and boom, safety in the end zone. So you had a 2-0 lead in the first 3 minutes of the game.
We call that option.
Thank you.
And Independence has BCHS this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Highland's got Frontier. We'll get into both of those games.
Okay.
North, Adam Levinson, his first year as a Stars head coach, has them playoff eligible after defeating East 28-13. Justin Lewis rushed for 109 yards, counted 133 of the 223 offensive yards for the Stars. Bradley Dockery at quarterback scored both touchdowns on the ground. Del Oro at Foothill stands number 1 fan. The Trojans are now 4-4 and 2-0 in league, and they have a huge game, and we'll talk about that one a little bit at Arvin this week. They remain undefeated in league, and the Trojans are moving along and doing, again, another first-year head coach and Chris Weedle. So another great one there, and a 17-14 win over Del Oro. Del Oro still looking for their playoff, their shot at the playoffs. They've got 2 wins right now. They've got East High next week on November 1st.
I reversed the jinx. I picked Foothill last week, and they won.
You won it for them. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
I worked really hard on that.
West High went up the mountain to Tehachapi, and that game went kind of sideways for the Vikings. 49-7 win for Tehachapi. West is playoff eligible, still seeking that first league win in the Mountain Division. Moving on, number 14, Frontier got a big win, 42-0 over Garces, another team that's still searching for their first victory of the season. Yeah. Brady Campbell threw for 155 yards, 3 touchdowns. Mekhi Watkins returned a punt 75 yards for a score. And, gentlemen, he was not touched. He picked that ball off of a bounce and went 75 yards, and there wasn't a defender within 3 yards of him the whole way. It's pretty impressive.
Who does Frontier have this week?
We just talked about it. It's they're at home against Highland on Thursday night.
Right. Got it.
Nobody listens to me. I get it.
Hey, take it easy. He's snapping at me, man.
What's that noise?
Yeah, it's him chirping at me.
Oh,
okay. Big game on paper Friday night. Number 18 Centennial at number 8 Liberty. It just happened to not finish out that way, and it's a bummer for Centennial because that team was rolling along, and then Jet Santiago, breaks his fibula and he's out for the year, and they're just trying to find a balance on offense, and they couldn't do it against a relentless front six like Liberty has. Nobody can do it like, can do something like that against that front six. So Jalen Murphy rushed for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, while Rob Smith took threw every pass for the Patriots. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the film. I don't know if another quarterback did get it, but he was 16-22 for career high 168 yards and a touchdown to Bryce Hansen and a 38-14 win for the Patriots. And then we'll get into our game of the week, but before that, probably the game of the week might be the game of the year thus far. BCHS.
Let's go back to Liberty real quick.
For sure.
I don't want to underplay that Robert Smith's performance. I mean, that might be their best performance this year by a quarterback.
Yeah,
at that school.
And they've had 3 different quarterbacks take significant snaps throughout the year.
And they looked good. I got there at halftime, and they looked really good. They came out in the second half and got after it.
They've got a big O-line. They got a big defensive front. Their safeties play really well. Their corners are tight on them, and they're starting to find Elmo Witten is getting into the run game, and now they got a 3-headed monster there. Dennis Perry's back. You see him wearing the Guardian hat because he had the concussion earlier in the year, and I love the fact that players and coaches are really kind of getting to this idea of putting the Guardian hats on for guys that are experiencing concussion protocols and different things of that nature, so they don't get another one after they come out of protocol. So that's kind of cool. But Liberty really is kind of moving along, and they've got 2 games ahead of them that they might go undefeated in this league again for the 7th time in the last 8 years.
There's a lot of whispers about the Patriots a month ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing is football is a long season, and what you do in August and September doesn't necessarily translate to what you do in October, November, and maybe even into December.
Yep.
So big, huge game Friday night. BCHS going into undefeated BHS, and Bryson Abbott did rush for 190 yards and a touchdown, but BCHS outscored them 10-0 in the fourth quarter, including a game-winning field goal to end the game and end BHS's perfect season. And Eagles they look legit right now. That's a team, and I looked at them. They've got a bunch of juniors all over the field, and kind of indicative of what a team with a bunch of juniors that are leading the team is. They don't look good at the beginning of the season. They start to get a little bit better. So, people, the Eagles might be the number 1 seed in D2, but
hey, good for Coach Carr, man.
I heard a great interview with him right now. Coming over here to do the huddle, he was on Greg's show live, and great interview. Funny story about the kicker that he sent in. He got on the headsets with all of his coaches, and he goes, "I don't want anybody talking to this kicker on the sidelines right now. Don't talk to him, Coach O. You work with him, get him ready. Don't anybody say anything. Just let him think it's a normal kick." They go out to kick. He calls a timeout to freeze him and ice him. Carr goes out to talk to everybody, and there's some other player on the kicker. "Okay, you got it, man. You got it, man." And Carr goes, "Hey, hold it. Stop. Just kick the field goal." And he wears jersey 86. Great interview. Big win for the Eagles. Ooh.
Yeah, that was
big win.
I didn't see that.
And I honestly thought that a loss for the Drillers was going to drop them out of Division I AA and down to 1A, and it did not do that. It actually only dropped them 1 spot, and they're still at the 7th seed right now.
I left our game, the Arvin Golden Valley game. I got in the truck, and my phone, all I could see was just all of the chatter from all the drillers, man.
Yeah.
All the former drillers were going back and forth, going at it. And then a Centennial dad that we know chimed in, and it was beautiful. It was great stuff.
There's a lot of talk. And then finally, the last game over the weekend, it was our Kern High game of the week. Vance, you did the call. I was down on the field, and that honestly was a very, very, very enjoyable game. Arvin pulled out the win 28-21 for a team that's been throwing the ball as much. All 4 of their touchdowns were rushing touchdowns for the Bears. Andrew Rosales only completed 6 passes all night long, but all 6 were to Xavier Brooks, who is the leading reception leader in the central section. So he had 6 catches for 104 yards in the victory. Golden Valley, they fought tooth and nail to the very end. Very, very competitive, very fun game to watch. So Arvin Bears still 2-0, going against 2-0 Foothill on Friday night, and that is our
game of the week. And
Yes,
that
it
game
is.
that the other night was a great one. Robert Riley tried to do a trick play. He tried to do a double reverse pitch pass, and it was picked off. And I interviewed him afterwards. He goes, "Well, I almost gave the game away."
He said the same exact thing to me.
So he owned it. He owned it.
Well,
Well,
right before half, the guy runs out of bounds. They don't stop the clock.
So I'll
What
tell you
happened
exactly.
there?
So I'll tell you what happened is the officials told Golden Valley Coach Kane that both of them that his forward progress had stopped before he went out of bounds, whereas their quarterback was like, "Yeah, no, I jumped out of bounds."
I didn't see the far side of the field, but the near
one on
side, they were running right at us. I mean, it came right at us, and
he ran right out of bounds.
ran out of bounds. They kept the clock going, and the team's running back out there. So anyway, great game, good win for Arvin, and we'll be out there, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Wow, packed first quarter. Coming up in the second quarter, we've got a lot going on. We're going to start talking about volleyball and tennis. You're watching In the Huddle. We'll be right back after this.
Valley Strong's youth accounts help kids practice earning and spending in the real world.
So, my rate for dishes is going up with inflation.
Oh, is it?
Blame the economy.
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives. Valley Strong's youth accounts teach kids how to save and earn interest on their hard-earned money.
Hey! You should be earning interest on your savings. Make the money work for you.
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives.
Welcome back, everybody. Second quarter here in our new studios, and we have a gentleman here that just stepped in, went to college in Virginia, so he brought in his moonshine to do the show with us. So just take a big swig, Greg, so you can handle being on the show.
No, it's actually a cur jar right here. You know mason jars? This
Oh
is a
yeah,
cur jar.
it's a cur jar. Well,
It's a family thing. I'm going to be a millionaire one day.
it's as dirty as whiskey. Goodness,
Hey, my weed eater's out of gas. Can I borrow that?
That's yeah.
Greg. Just so you know, the show's been off the rails since we started.
Stan's fault.
This is show 19, and it's playing out like a show 19. Before we go into volleyball and tennis, give us a recap on your weekend, my man.
Let's see. It's Monday, right?
It is Monday.
Okay. I don't know. You know, some great games. I think, the showdown games lived up to it. Kennedy Shafter was terrific going back and forth. Marion Sloan's just ridiculously good. And then, of course, the BHS-BCHS game. You're down 23-7, and you come back and win that game with a field goal.
I just shared with both of them
That's
your
crazy.
interview with Darren, how great it was.
It's just, it's one thing to see a college or a pro kicker nail one as time expires, but high school kickers don't do it that often, and that was a heck of a kick. So, nice job done there. Looking forward, actually, you're asking looking back, but looking forward in a couple weeks to Hatchby South. That's going to be another one that's out there. We got Arvin, and Foothill in a game this week. It's going to be fun. So, but what was the third game that was a really big one that
Shafter,
I'm forgetting?
what you talked to
Shafter,
Coach
Kennedy,
Perucci. Tell us about
BHS,
that interview.
BCHS. Well, Perucci, he was just going on and on about Marion and how, because I said, how many of the plays that Marion runs are actually plays that you call, or does it change? And he said 2 of them I didn't even call. And then I just said, isn't it great to have a guy that can overcome his coaching?
Yeah, right. Well, remember the great Ryan Matthews, his senior year?
Oh, my goodness.
And Coach Manning and Coach Cornford and those guys, Rich Cornford just...
It was Matthews left, Matthews right.
It was Matthew, everything, snapped it to him, everything. And the end of, coming up on halftime, it was up at Bakersfield College, a game, and I said, on the air with Brian Adams, I said, the only thing he hasn't done is throw a pass into the first half, touchdown, pass.
You know what?
So,
That game was, I think we talked about this. That game I think Alex had put it back up as one of the
Right.
the former games, and I watched that thing and I was like, oh my gosh,
it was
fans called it.
It was a force to be reckoned with. Okay, we have a stacked second and third quarter, and it's the second quarter is all about volleyball and tennis, a lot coming up, and then the third quarter is water polo, girls golf, and cross country. So I sure hope you brushed up on everything coming over here, Greg.
Yeah.
Take it away, Trevor.
The regular season ends this week for volleyball. If you guys would
Couple
believe
good
that,
matches
and the
tonight.
seedings, the seedings will come out Friday night. We got a slide. So we got 2 teams in the Kern High School District that are likely Division I teams this year, and that's Liberty, who's kind of sitting at the 2 seed right now, just right below where Clovis North is. They're kind of beating each other up there. Clovis had just beaten Clovis North, so they're kind of beating each other up in the track. Liberty's undefeated in league. They can clinch it outright tonight against Garces at home on senior night. And then Centennial, the team that Liberty's been battling with all year long. The Patriots won 3-0 last week, and so Centennial's still sitting at 6th seed. The loss actually moved them from the 7th seed up to the 6th seed because the strength of schedule went up for the G-Hawks. So kind of interesting that you might see Liberty host BCHS in the first round of Division I, which will happen to be next Thursday on Halloween night. So you might see a big local one there. You guys like Vlovis West there? Since I don't know how to spell.
Well,
there's always one typo for Trevor.
They got a lot of schools in Clovis, so it doesn't surprise me one bit.
That's the brand new one.
That's my school, Vlovis.
Kind of deep dived a little bit on what we might see out of D2. It looks like Frontier's right around the 7th seed, where Stockdale's in the 9. So both of them are kind of looking for that first round in Division 2, which the first round will be for Divisions 2 all the way through 6 will be Tuesday night next week. The playoffs will start. The brackets will come out on Friday. Those divisions will play. They'll play 4 rounds, where Division I is only the 3 rounds, so that's why they start the next time. So Frontier and Stockdale right there, and then Independence looks like they might get a top 4 seed in Division 3. Shafter, as long as they beat Wasco for a second time this week. That game is tomorrow night, actually, for the SSL Championship. Shafters looks like about the 2 seed. Fresno Christian is actually ranked 14th overall, but they're a D5 base like Shafter is. So it looks like both those will be the top 2 seeds in Division 4, with West, who is still undefeated in league and could do that Wednesday night at East, a game that I'll be at. And this could be the first undefeated league slate for the Vikings since 2010.
That's excellent.
So, I mean, that's a big
Remember, they came up to us in the huddle.
Yeah,
and
they
the
did.
volleyball players at West, you better cover our games. We're good. And I said, okay. We're good.
So Horizon Arvin can clinch the outright title tomorrow night at home against Foothill. And in the Mountain League, like I said, the West is number 1, Tehachapi is number 2, and then the Valley BCHS kind of has a stranglehold on that league right now, where Independence is sitting at number 2, BHS is 3rd in that league. So that's kind of the look ahead to what we may see in the playoff brackets that'll come out Friday. And then girls tennis, the regular season is over. Liberty is the number 1 seeded team in the entire Central section, according to the UTR. They defeated Stockdale 6-3 on Thursday evening to win the 2nd consecutive league championship for the Patriots. 2 best seasons in program history.
Well, that's great.
Congratulations to head coach Chris Campoy, who is probably going to retire after next year when his granddaughter graduates and gets off the team. Kara's a great number 2 for them right now. They're playing really well. I had a lot of fun going out there and watching Stockdale and Liberty go at it. Stockdale is a 3 seed right now. Those brackets will come out on Friday. There's league, individual championships this week for all the leagues. I know the River is Wednesday and Thursday at Stockdale. That's kind of when we have Iron on. But when you look in the Mountain League, the one team that we all need to really pay attention to is East High. Finished the regular season undefeated, and they're going to get a high, likely D3 seed. And the East High Blades look like a team that could go completely undefeated, because only the Division I champ in the Central section moves on to the Southern section championships. So you could see an East High team possibly going undefeated from August till November.
And let me just say something. You guys all agree. I know it's kind of preaching to the choir here, but no matter what division you're in, no matter what league you're in tennis, 0 losses, 27-0. That's remarkable for a tennis team. No matter what level you're playing at, to not have a single loss. That's pretty. That's peakish. Look out!
Oh,
look
there
out!
you go,
Look out!
yeah.
Anyway.
And I will
So
say
I see what
this:
he did there.
the one thing that I've really enjoyed about tennis the last 2 years is the order in which we play now, where they play the doubles first in a pro set to 8, and then they get those out of the way. Then you play the singles matches, the 6 singles matches. So now the singles matches and the doubles matches actually matters more now because it can give a team a 3-0 edge, a 2-1 edge going into singles. And if you go with 3-0, then you only got to win 2 of the singles matches to be able to win that match. And so the doubles matches used to be kind of an afterthought, especially when you got to the playoffs. If you're up 5-1, sometimes the losing team is like, we got a 3-hour drive home. Let's just go now. We don't see that anymore, and that's a good thing that we're actually seeing full competition on the tennis courts when it comes to league and playoffs.
I have a question. Are you left-handed in tennis?
Yes, I am.
Stan and I against you two.
Oh, Lord. Me?
You're a quarterback. You got an arm. It might be a noodle now, but you still
Oh,
right.
you're
Why
good.
are you asking me about being lefty in tennis?
I just want to know what side you're going to hit it from.
Are you
I
a
want-
lefty?
No, I'm a righty.
Right. Just want to know because we're going to play you two. Want to see what I want to see where
My
your
back
angle-
holds up. I'm not bad.
You and your back. How long have
Yeah.
you had it? Oh, about a week back.
That's a Gino LaCava
That's
joke.
a
What-
three.
that's a
That's
Gino
three
LaCava.
Stooges. That's Three Stooges.
Why don't we go pickleball?
Exactly. That's a Gino LaCava, like I said.
When I was a kid, I used to play with a guy just like him, and this would be the whole court, and he would say, "Stanley, this is your part. This is all mine."
I'm sorry.
That's what he'll
Say
do
that
to
one-
me.
what did he
Stanley
call-
and Gregory.
Yeah, Stanley and Gregory?
Yeah, this is it. All right. So
And Vansley and Trevorley?
Good.
By the
good
way,
for Marty.
I hope I don't get fined for not being in uniform.
Yeah,
today.
you're getting a fine.
you already have.
Well,
a
he thought
whiskey
we were
on
going
the
to be
set,
outside
so-
today. That's why he bundled up.
Exactly. Good for Coach Marty Martinez, though.
Yep.
I mean, that's
27.
incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Any last comments on tennis and volleyball?
Seedings, like I said, will come out this week for the team playoffs, which will start next Tuesday. Area individual, November 8th and 9th. We will be at Wasco here in the southern part. Section individuals, November 15th to 16th. That's at Clovis East. Team regionals then will be down at Claremont Club, and then moving on. And then all of the tennis matches for the team will be at the home site of the higher seed throughout the
That's
central section
after
playoffs.
Thanksgiving. All right. Thank you, Trevor. A lot of work. When we come back, third quarter, you're earning it today, bro. You are earning it. Third quarter, water polo, girls golf, cross country. I'm going to kick back and listen. Greg got his
I
whiskey.
love some water polo, man.
Hey, well, get ready. You're up next.
No,
Third
no.
quarter on the end.
Valley Strong's youth accounts help kids practice earning and spending in the real world.
So, my rate for dishes is going up with inflation.
Oh, is it?
Blame the economy.
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives. Valley Strong's youth accounts teach kids how to save and earn interest on their hard-earned money.
Hey! You should be earning interest on your savings. Make the money work for you.
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives.
Get that off again on here.
Welcome back, everybody. We are having quite the day here. I'm Vance Palm. That's Greg Kerr, Trevor Horn, Stan Green. Stan, we're going to get water polo specific in a moment. Who'd have thunk? Back when I was in school, we would have water polo in Kern County. Not only do we have water polo, we have some big-time aquatics support for it all. Talk to us about, A, water polo in general here in the Kern County area, B, the nice pool out by Independence, 3, the one going up at Highland.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to there was a year where we rent all the water we can in town for our student athletes for swim. And there was a year where there was a club team that had rented a pool, and we weren't able to get lanes for our kids. And so a group of people went to the board, and Dean McGee, one of our superintendents on the board, started walking through and talking through what it would look like if Kern High built a pool. Mm-hmm. And so Dean McGee was the visionary behind that. He came up with that plan for the aquatics complex that I don't know if there's a facility like that in the valley. Maybe Clovis West is there as good. I mean, it's pretty equal. But anyways, we brought it to the voters, and a bond was approved. I think at the time there was $20 million allocated to build that pool. And so that pool was built and completed 2 weeks before we shut down for COVID.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah,
Right.
it was supposed to open in the fall. It didn't. Then it was supposed to open in January, and it got delayed. We ended up opening mid-February-ish. It came in at $17 million, and it's just an amazing place. And we really need, 2 or 3 still rent all the water in town we can. And so then we had a Highland alumni that came to the district, and he had come to us before and met with the business office. And he donated, I think it was $10 or $11 million for the Highland pool.
He's been huge.
Yeah,
Wow.
Nathan.
I'm trying to remember. I was talking to one of the coaches out there about him.
Yeah, gosh,
He's done fabulous job.
put myself on
with
paid
Highland.
leave for not remembering his
Yeah.
last name. Anyways, I met with him a couple weeks ago. He donated, it was $10 or $11 million, and that pool at Highland's going to be a fantastic facility.
Wow.
And we will still continue to rent all the water we can. But again, prior to building that first pool, my wife was a swimmer in high school, and we had 10 or 11 kids in every lane at McMurtry, and you went out there, it looked like a washing machine, man. Legs going everywhere and arms and water splashing, and there was a lot of complaints about safety, too many kids in the pool. And so my wife being a swimmer, I said, hey, you need to go take a look at that and tell me what you think, because I never swam. I figured you can just swim,
Right.
And man, I got an earful that night. She came home. She said, you should be ashamed of yourself. That many kids in the pool. What's wrong with you guys? I'm like, what do you mean what's wrong with me?
That's not a normal occurrence at your house?
That's every day.
Okay,
but
that's what I thought.
most of the time it's not justified. This time, apparently it was. I mean, it was brutal. We had kids running into each other, and I'd be swimming behind you and you'd kick me in the head. And
I don't doubt it.
well, that would be intentional. But
That was the above ground pool, right?
exactly. No, they actually had that. They had dry land. We had dry land training. That's a swim thing, apparently.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it's just
I just wanted to get
it's
some
weightlifting.
I
and
wanted
running.
to get some. I wanted to get some context of it, because anybody that just sees these pools coming up, like, wow, really pools? What's your background in covering water polo?
Well, a lot of it's been at Garces because they were the first in the area. And so I just love the sport because of the I look at everything from the media side,
Right.
obviously, in terms of just vantage point on where to shoot and what you can shoot. And really the brevity of the game is actually pretty nice too, because you get a lot of action in a short period of time. So
7-minute quarters, the game's over in an hour.
Yeah, and we're so far behind the section too. I mean, that's really been the learning curve for us is, we're trying to compete. Our schools are trying to compete, but we're so far behind because a lot of our kids have never played it. And it's just taken forever for us to get to that level.
Porterville and Fresno schools have been at this for quite some time.
You add in the
Tulare.
coastal schools too,
Yeah.
and those.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
like
Yeah,
a
the
Royal
coastal,
Grande
yeah.
is the cream of the crop when
Yeah.
it comes to, pushing out, and their tournaments every year are top notch.
So couldn't be a more perfect segue, because we are lagging behind this. But Trevor, we're still in it. We're still doing it. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go down to the Aquatic Center tonight. Liberty and Frontier are facing each other in the North Pool, and so that's going to be pretty enjoyable for me because, like Greg, most of the time is spent at Garces. So this will actually be my first water polo match that I've ever seen at the Aquatic Center. So I'm actually really excited about this because, for 5 years I was up on the hill. But when you look at it right now on the girls water polo side, Frontier is second in the league behind Garces. They're 4-1. The only losses to the Rams. Centennial is number 2, and that's in the River League. In the Valley League, BCHS is 5-0. BHS right behind them at 4-1. When we're looking at the playoffs, which still won't come out for another 2 weeks right now, Frontier is sitting about the 15th seed in D2 or a top seed in D3, depending on how the section wants to look at it. Liberty and Centennial look like they're in the bottom half of D3 right now. This is on the girls' side, by the way, guys. And then BHS is kind of a fringe team to get into the playoffs right now because, remember, water polo is only a 3-division sport in the playoffs. And when you look at the division breakdown, it's like 8 teams are D1 base, about 15 to 20 are D2 base. There's about 40 schools that are D3 base. So not everybody that plays gets into the playoffs. So this is a very competitive sport to be able to get into the playoffs here in the Central Section, which, I mean, annually we have a state champ almost every year in the sport. So water polo is huge here in the Central section. On the boys side in league, again, Garces 5-0, Stockdale and Frontier both 3-2 in the River League. And then on the other side, BCHS is 5-0 and BHS 4-1. Playoff wise, I don't see any of the Kern High School District teams making D1 or D2. Frontier right now kind of sitting at about 8-9 seed in D3. Stockdale right behind them. They're sitting at 11 right now. And then Liberty is about 4 spots out looking in, trying to get into D3 playoffs. So water polo, it's going to get better as the years go on. I know we've talked about that for about 3 or 4 years now that the district has had water polo. And it will get better, and they will start getting more. But it comes from the youth level, the club circuit coming up, and them not just going to other schools.
Trevor, one of the things I'm noticing now on the Kern High Network Instagram page, Facebook page, everything, unbelievable killer shots of girls golf right now out there on the track.
Yeah.
The weather's perfect. It's beautiful. Great time for golf. Al, you and Javi, thank you so much. So girls golf is up.
Hold on. I want to talk to you. Nate Franklin.
There you go.
And it's his 661 Foundation. So he was a Highland High School grad, and he went away and did well. And it was very personal to him to give back to Highland High School in the east side of town. And it's his 661 Foundation. He's going to run club swim for anybody on the east side. I mean, he's awesome. He's bought in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Killer.
So girls golf, Stan, you have some information. Area is next Tuesday or Wednesday at Valley Oaks, which is in Visalia. Which of our local teams have bypassed that and go directly to the section championships?
So Tom Haskell tells me Tehachapi, Liberty, Stockdale, Frontier, the Highland team, the BCHS team, Wasco and Taft. On the individual side, Malia Giomara from Garces and Sophia Heron from Centennial and Presley Anderson.
Okay.
So
just kind of go over like what we're looking at. In the River League, Giselle Valencia has had the top scores overall, Stockdale golfer. Over at Frontier, Killian is number 2. Malia Giamara, who you spoke of at Garces, 3. Followed by Taylor Bynum at Frontier, Alyssa Paredes out of Stockdale is the top 6 there. Mountain Tehachapi's got the top 4 golfers according to their league rankings. Right below them is Kylie Thomas and Natalie Weber from North High. In the Valley, Deanna Dyson is the top golfer from Independence, whereas Veronica Vasquez from Independence, her teammate, is number 3, followed by 2 Highland golfers, Isabella Brandon and Lily Verona. And then Horizon, the top golfer in the league, is Camila Gonzalez out of Miramonte. Right below her is Valerie Olivas out of Golden Valley. So what we're looking at girls golf-wise is the area, and that'll take those individual golfers from the area. They'll be able to move on, and then the teams that are vying for a section championship bid will then move on to the section championships. Will be the
at San Joaquin.
The next Monday.
These are some tough tracks, man.
Yeah,
the sectionals at San Joaquin. That is a tough track.
Yep. So, I mean, nothing locally for playoffs when it comes to courses this year. It's the north section, and it all rotates north, south,
right.
central, and the coast. And so it's just not our time yet. It'll come back around. We'll be able to see matches or tournaments at usually Rio Bravo or Sundale or Seven Oaks or something like that.
Cross country. If you had to run the 3 miler right now, what would be your time? 3 mile.
Oh boy, well, it would be less than an hour because I can walk it in an hour.
Gregory, 3 mile track.
I can't answer that because after 1 mile,
Yeah.
Hailing an Uber, you get an Uber.
A couple of years ago, he and I challenged each other to a 40-yard dash, and we've still never done it.
Who got hurt
And
the worst?
Are you guys still running it?
We are still training.
yeah.
Everybody wants to challenge you.
It's
Everybody
been
wants
4 years.
The funny thing is, you talk about walking.
Triple in when they got that joke.
You talk about walking. I was told for years that there's a guy that looks like me that walks around and he wears like these short shorts and no shirt.
Yeah.
And runs and walks around or jogs
Looks like
around
him.
neighborhood. It's not me. Okay. I just want people to know it's not me.
I heard
okay?
this story 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And Greg's still running around with
The
his shirt
first
off.
time I heard it was some guy came up to me on the side of the sideline at Centennial.
Hey, that's where he runs.
I know.
I
They
live
asked me-
right there.
Somebody said, "Do you live near
Yeah.
Centennial High School?" I said, "No, I don't."
And he's got his shirt hanging out of his short.
Is he still doing it?
No, I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he moved or
He might be on the show right now.
Hey, he runs and he looks so happy. He runs like this.
Is that happy?
That's how
Runs
happy
with
you
his
are
head
when
up
you
there.
run. Oh yeah, and it
Sort of like
it's your doppelganger.
like Charlie Brown when he
Looks-
sings or dances or
I'm
whatever.
I have. He looks just like you, just like you.
That you
is-
never asked me.
That is our high level segue.
You never asked me.
into
Poor guy.
postseason cross country. That's high end right there.
Okay.
You never asked me my 40 time. Or how long it would take me to run 3 miles. I would grab Stan's helicopter and I would just fly those 3 miles and land.
Cross country, Trevor, please.
Yes.
Please.
So we're
Save
still about a month away from the section championships, which will once again for the 30th some odd year, we'll be at Woodward Park, much like state will be the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which it is every year. Right now, according to athletic.net, the number one boys runner in terms of 5K running is Noel Huerta out of Del Oro. He's running it. His top time is 15:12 right behind him. Yeah, it is.
15-12.
Yeah, that's fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. George Cuevas out of Shafter, Christopher Wells out of Frontier, and Salvador Quezada out of North on the girls' side. 10th overall in the central section right now is Hannah Pacheco out of Stockdale with a time of 18:27. And then behind her is Liliana Montevalles out of Highland. And then one thing that I'm looking at is Wednesday, I'll be at the River League second and final league meet over at Riverwalk Park, which is a really fun course because you can kind of go out there and they run over the bridge around and they go past the park, run behind the amphitheater. So that'd be good to be able to get out there and check out some of our top runners in cross country this year on Wednesday.
What's your time?
Arvin High, my senior year, I decided to go out for cross country, just to kind of get in shape for Gary Saddam and try to do it. And I had the great Jeff Evans. The great Jeff Evans was writing for this Highland meet we had. It was up at Highland, and I was running, and he wrote it. My sister kept the article. I just paced myself way too well, and I had a lot left in the tank. So we're coming around that back JV baseball field at Highland, and we're coming back down into the football field, and I got this burst of energy, so I took off, and you could see me screaming down, running around, and I passed up like 7 dudes, and I think it was like a 17:42. Not bad. Not bad. But Scoop Evans happened to be covering it that day, and he wrote it down. So I think I almost died and passed out afterwards. But yeah, I thought I would. Here's the Arvin High track, Arvin High cross country. What we used to do. We were supposed to run from Arvin High up 223 to the cross on the way to Tehachapi. We would hitchhike. We would catch farmers that we knew. Hey, they would take us. They'd drop us off like 200 yards shy, and then Mike Allen would be driving his high school station wagon. Oh, you guys are making good time. You're making good time. And then, but we never found guys.
You're Rosie Ruiz before we knew Rosie Ruiz.
Hey, right, but Greg, we could never catch people. No one would bring us back because they didn't want to put the brakes on going downhill.
Satterfield and Chamberlain weren't driving around in their pickup trucks. You couldn't jump in the back with them.
They may have been, but it wasn't to be watching cross-country drivers. That's for runners. That's for sure. All right, we're officially long gone from any sanity in this thing. But when we come back, fourth quarter in the huddle right after this.
Valley Strong's youth accounts help kids practice earning and spending in the real world.
So, my rate for dishes is going up. With inflation.
Oh, is it?
Blame the economy!
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives. Valley Strong's youth accounts teach kids how to save and earn interest on their hard-earned money.
Hey! You should be earning interest on your savings. Make the money work for you.
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives.
Great to have you with us today on our 19th show. Can't believe it. This Friday will be our 20th in the huddle, and we're going to be out at Arvin, Foothill at Arvin. We're going out to God's country for a big game between undefeated Foothill against undefeated Arvin in league anyway. Greg, kind of want to get a feel from you on where we're at now as we're getting closer to the end here. We kind of touched on a couple of things, but earlier in the Huddle season, we talked about all these injuries to starting quarterbacks in the River League, and then you've got the big loss, I would call it, for BHS. Yeah, it's a win by BCHS, but at home, BHS, all the social I was reading was a ton of calls, a lot of flags and that. Mm-hmm. You've got Centennial with Santiago going down and how that changed the complexion of their team. Liberty, we had a lot of whispers about Liberty a month ago. Now they're back on track. Let's talk football-centric and kind of where you think we are as we're getting close to the end here, in league anyway.
Well, the Arvin Foothill one's interesting to me because Arvin, once upon a time, Arvin never threw the ball. Now they're the team that has balance, thrown with Rosales, and Xavier Brooks seems to be the guy that they throw to the most. But the Foothill game this past week, who'd they play again? Who'd they beat?
Del
Oro. Third quarter, they had a 20-play drive, all runs. Del Oro never touched, and they didn't score, by the way.
In that packed-in wing?
The entire third quarter, they went down the field, 20 plays.
20?
Yeah,
and didn't
20
score.
plays, didn't score. They scored on the first play of the fourth quarter with a field goal to end that drive, but Del Oro never touched the ball in the third quarter. So I talked to Chris Wadle about that. I said, if you could do more of that, you'd be a happy man. And plus, we'd get back to the studio a lot sooner, if you play games like that. But it ball possession for Foothill is going to be the key in that one. It's my roundhouse way of saying against Arvin. Because I think Arvin is the more balanced of the two teams. Although Foothill, again, if they pound and ground away at you, they can wear you down.
South at Tehachapi next Friday. I'll get to you in a second, Trevor. South at Tehachapi next Friday. That's going
to be a fun one.
That's special.
That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. I wish I could go to that one. I don't think I can. I might, but I don't know yet. But that's going to be a fun game. They're both very talented. Josh Encinas, I think, probably doesn't get recognized as much as some of the other guys who throw the ball around the lot. And then Jero Hazley, he's terrific receiver. So between those two and then what Tehachapi does, which is really it's all the guys with their numbers in the 50s, 60s, and 70s that make a difference in Tehachapi because they've put in people I've never heard of from year to year. A new guy pops up and he's breaking off 60-yarders. So that's what they do in Tehachapi. And by the way, and I think I mentioned this before, Kyler Hooford is back. He had a labrum injury from a year ago. This is maybe his third game back, coming back. He's a big old wide receiver. He can catch anything. He gives them a new dimension. In fact, their game this past week, their first drive against West was like 4 passes, and I didn't even know it was Tehachapi. They threw 4 passes in the first drive. They threw a few more. They're going to make teams honor the pass so they can do what they love to do, which is run.
Final question for you, Greg. Can Liberty and or Centennial in volleyball, can they make a stand late run in the playoffs?
Liberty or Centennial in volleyball?
Yeah.
Well, Liberty obviously has, they've got the chops to do it, I think. So, but, Centennial played them to 5 their first meeting,
time,
right? So, volleyball is such an interesting dynamic and that kind of thing because, watching it as a member of the media, you sometimes go 2-0. I wonder if this thing's going to end early, and then you end up being there another 90 minutes. Usually in some sports, when the end is coming, but in volleyball, you don't. And really the dynamic of these teams, because they never really, I guess the best way to say it is quit. I think guys are more prone to quit than girls are when it comes to sports. I really do. And so I think Liberty has the chops. I don't, Centennial's in the neighborhood, but I think Liberty's probably more equipped to do so.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks for being here. Your final thoughts here in the fourth quarter, Trevor.
Well, going back to it, Tehachapi, they had a play that was much like BHS's punt against Centennial, where the quarterback, the snap just went right over his head. He was able to pick it up right around the 30, and he just dropped a dime to the back corner of the end zone for a touchdown. And like Greg said, it's not Tehachapi football, but it's a completely new dynamic that they have this year. Arvin, I think the biggest thing that they have going right now is Xavier Reynoso, the running back number 5. He's a big bruiser.
Dude, remember Friday night, one of their first plays of the game. He gets picked up, thrown to the body slam to the ground. He's like just horizontal for like 10 seconds. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Gets up and then dominates the rest of the game. So you're right.
He had a big 29-yard touchdown after an interception. So dual threat, Adam Rosales. Greg, did you see the stat? All 6 of his passes were to Xavier Brooks, who's for 104 yards. All 6 of his completed passes were to Xavier Brooks in that game. And Xavier Brooks is the number 1 wide receiver in terms of receiving yards in the Central section. So a lot of fun. We do have 4 games Thursday night. Let's get into those really quickly, kind of see what they're about. We'll get into the Friday night games on Friday. We're in the Huddle at Arvin, and which is the high school that Alex went to.
I heard you.
I know. We'll start off first. Independence. Still kind of reeling right now. 4-4, 1-1 in league. They're at BCHS, who's now in the top 10 in the Central section. 6-2, 3-0. They're riding high. The Eagles are. Independent still trying to find an offensive line that can keep Gutergola upright. This could look like a trap game for the Eagles. I just don't think it's going to be. I've got BCHS winning this one 35-20.
Okay.
Do you guys want to pick or no? You want to just, all right, I'll just keep on going.
BCHS, without a doubt.
Okay.
I refuse to pick that game.
Here we go, Stan. I don't pick unless it's an Arvin game.
Cross league rival number 25 Highland at number 14 Frontier. Both
What a
of them,
game.
Both of them won big. Both of them have a lot of momentum going into this one. Frontier, Blank Garces, Highland had that big win over Independence. The Titans will continue to get better, and they need this game to kind of fine tune some things. They got Centennial next week in the regular season finale, so I've got Frontier winning this one by a touchdown, 35-28.
Greg?
Frontier, I tell you what, I was at their game last week. I don't know how many offensive holding calls they had on them, and yet they still won 43-0. But if they can clean that up, they're going to be pretty darn good. They've got some speed out there. They've got a lot of talent. Austin Hernandez is back for Highland. That's good news for the Scots, but I like Frontier in that one.
Okay, Trevor?
Yeah, and when you look at it, too, that was a 0-0 game after the first quarter, and Frontier still reeled off 43.
Yeah.
I think it's such a big game for both of them.
It is.
It is. And then how about this? Liberty, their final 2 games, they're a far and away a favorite in their final 2 games against Garces and Stockdale for them to look like they're going to go undefeated in league. They're at Garces, who's still looking for that first win. Liberty will secure at least a share of the title here. Thursday night at Garces. I've got Liberty winning this one 42-0.
Greg, I can guess your pick, but talk about Liberty for a second.
Well, Liberty, I tell you what, Richie Bolin and his crew have done a great job in terms of, because they were, for the longest time, trying to find which quarterback they wanted to go with, and Robert Smith turns out to be the guy right now. But, Jalen Murphy's just a terrific running back, and just the way they play football at Liberty anyway. I know I don't want to say you could take Brian Nixon out and put Richie Bolin in and whoever the next coach is. That I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is they seem to play the same way. That they're just a very talented team that plays hard. You always, even when I talked to Richie about this, when they went on the road and played a couple of state powers, they didn't quit. And even though the score looked like they got outclassed a little bit in the end, it really wasn't what the score looked like for the first 2.5 quarters of a couple of those games. So Liberty, it depends on the matchup, who they get in the playoff, because they can be somebody's nightmare. They really could.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you this right now. There was a quote, and I want to say it was maybe after the Buchanan loss for Liberty, where Richie Bolin sounded just like Brian Nixon. He goes, we're in phase 1, then we're going to get to phase 2, and then we're going to,
that was a tough
figure
loss.
out phase 3. And then, but that's it. You look at phase 1, they took some hits. Phase 2, they might go undefeated. Phase 2 is league play. And then phase 3 is the playoffs. And they're going to be in the top division in the 1AA. Just where are they going to be? Because right now, I got to figure a 4-0 team in league, a team that's going to be 7-3. You got to look at it. They're league champs in the second toughest league in the Central section. What do you do with them? Do they go as high as 4? Probably not. Mm-mm. But a 5 or a 6 is much better than a 7 or 8, because you don't want to see Clovis East and you don't want to see Clovis North right now.
Last game, you throw out the record books with this last one. Just throw out the record books, right?
Yeah. West is still looking for their first league win. They're playoff eligible right now. They're hosting East High. East is 1-7, still undefeated in league. This is this is East's last league game. They got a crossover in the final. I've got West winning this one tightly, 21-13.
Gregory?
I like West in this one as well. East has just not found their mojo offensively consistently. They've had their moments, but not for 4 quarters. They've played some, whenever somebody uses the word scrappy, it's usually a backwards or backhanded compliment. But they have been scrappy for a while, but they just haven't had that 4 quarters. And I've seen, the Vasquezes and the Garolos do some things at West that I think would be a difference maker.
Trevor, thank you for all your deep diving. Appreciate it. Greg, thank you so very much. Stan, final thoughts here in the fourth quarter as we get prepared for In the Huddle on Friday in God's Country. Your last thoughts today.
I'm excited to be at Arvin. You're not going to be able to control yourself.
Greg Showers texted me the other night, and he goes, I'm going, and I'm sitting with Ned. So you're going to see Greg Showers, Permenter. There's going to be
Really?
there's going to be a little group down there
Wow.
of great minds